Coming up tonight, Prime Minister Brave Davis finally breaking his silence on allegations made by a local woman that a sitting PLP MP raped and beat her. Plus, amidst a spate of egregious acts being committed in the capital, the Prime Minister tells the press today that there are steps being taken by his government to deter crime. And our Megan Shepherd presents Carib Care Health Services in our Generation Next segment. That's straight ahead as Our News Weekend starts now. Welcome to Our News, the weekend edition, and thanks for joining us. I'm Berthany McDermott. After 2 weeks and little movement by law enforcement on allegations against a sitting PLP Member of Parliament, the nation's chief is finally breaking his silence on the matter. Prime Minister Davis admitting to reporters that the MP still hasn't been taken in for questioning.
No, he has not.
Have you spoken to the MP in question?
I did.
Any concern from you that the MP has not yet been called in for questioning?
I have no concern about that because the police know how to do their job.
April 7th, a woman filed a complaint with police in Grand Bahama against the sitting MP. The victim alleges the MP raped and abused her. But Davis says it seems the victim doesn't want to press charges.
And I didn't hear the tape, but someone said that the person, the accuser, is saying they don't want to press any charges. So what the police is to do in those circumstances, I don't know.
However, Our News contacted the family of the victim who said otherwise. The victim's mother said the family is moving forward with it. Davis was also asked if he received any prior complaints about the MP.
No complaint about any.
Did you receive any news that there could be some behavior?
No.
Thank you, everybody.
In a voice note Friday, PLP Chairman and Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell said the party's leader instructed all MPs to remain silent on the issue.
The matter is under investigation, I'm told. Why would I comment on something that the police are investigating? I would abide and I will await the outcome of that investigation, and upon the conclusion of its investigation, then you would expect me to speak.
A man believed to be a foreign national is the country's latest homicide victim. The incident unfolding shortly before 10 this morning on Ania Street in the area of Stapleton Gardens. Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings addressing media on the scene.
Information received is that a male who's believed to be in his late 40s was entering his vehicle when a small dark vehicle pulled up. It is reported that a male exited that vehicle, opened fire on the victim, hitting him multiple times to the body. He succumbed to his injuries on scene.
This latest incident comes on the heels of an early morning double homicide. The victims, two men ages 21 and 27. Officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department, Chief Superintendent Michael Johnson, providing these details.
Sometime shortly after 2 a.m. this morning, we received certain information in relation to gunshots in the area of Solomon's near the East West Highway. When the officers arrived on the scene, they met the body of two young males in a vehicle suffering from wounds that are consistent with gunshots. We are following significant leads into this matter, and we are confident that in very short order we will be able to close this matter.
Now, police could not confirm if the matters may be connected, adding the victims are not known to police. However, they're asking anyone with information to contact the Criminal Investigation Department at 502-9991 or 2. Well, on the heels of those recent homicides, Prime Minister Philip Davis says he's distressed over the state of crime right now. He says there needs to be earlier interventions in young people. Davis says officers have been taking steps to deter criminal activity.
You would have seen over the last several weeks, we have saturation patrol that is working. You'll see in the next few weeks a number of vehicles that I've invested in to ensure that we have police presence on the street. But even though you have the presence, like I say, a person who is intentional about what they want to do and they planned it, sometimes it's very difficult to prevent that person from carrying out his plans.
Davis says police presence is a tool to deter criminal activity. He says the minds of criminals needs to be recalibrated.
Their minds need to be recalibrated. Their minds have to be to tell them that, look, crime does not pay. Right? And as you can see, crime, if you are engaged in criminal activity, there are only two outcomes. Right? You either spend the rest of your life in jail, or you will be executed on the streets, as we are seeing.
Crowds of sailors and spectators at the National Regatta gathered around last night for the official announcement of sailing becoming our national sport. On a stage full of ministers, as well as the Governor General, Prime Minister Philip Davis made the announcement to an engaged crowd.
During this very special year, as we celebrate 50 years of independence, I have the honor of announcing that sailing is now officially the national sport of the Bahamas. So, Regatta Queen, remember this day, that it has been officially declared that the national sport of the Bahamas is sailing.
Making sailing the sport official is more than just the title, Davis promises. He hopes the legislative power will create paths for more funding for scholarships to increase engagement.
I want to be clear that finally taking the legislative steps to officially making sailing our national sport is going to have a real impact, because this new designation will be accompanied by a new commitment to expanding access to the sport, to make it truly inclusive. We need more scholarships to our sailing academies and more boat building apprenticeships, so more and more of our young people can compete and continue these proud traditions.
Still to come on Our News Weekend, Happy Earth Day. The Bahamas National Trust holding activities today to drive Bahamians to visit national parks. Stay close for that. And John Pinder, remember him? He plans on making his return as the head of the BPSU. That story straight ahead when Our News Weekend returns.
At Doctors Hospital, our lamp just got brighter. The Loyalty Advantage membership program now has 3 unique plans to choose from. From Lamp Prepaid with free prime care visits and service line discounts, Lamp Insured with copay waivers and 0 upfront collections at the ER and inpatient services, or our new Lamp Access, a free plan that offers 10% off labs, pharmacy, and imaging. Lamp has a plan for everyone. To sign up, visit our website or give us a call. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now.
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. Today is National Earth Day, and in honor of this, the Bahamas National Trust welcomed locals for activities like hiking and bird watching at national parks across the country. BNT Executive Director Lakeisha Anderson Roll says the trust is hoping to encourage Bahamians to visit their national parks.
What we want to achieve in the future, we want to move away from paper parks to managing more effective and well-functioning national parks. And so what that means, it means we need to hire more staff. We want to be able to work more closely within the communities, providing economic opportunities for Bahamians to operate businesses within our national parks. We want to be able to sustain these beautiful places now and in the future.
The BNT hosted activities at all of its national parks. Environment Minister Von Miller also visiting the park, stressing the importance of taking care of the planet.
We may one day be climate refugees, so it's critically important for us to inform, to educate, and empower our people with the knowledge, and so that we can make better decisions as it relates to our environment and safeguarding our planet, that is more sustainable, and we pass it on and leave it to generations to come.
They call themselves the We Care Team. The group, led by former acting Labor Director and Bahamas Public Services Union President John Pinder, is looking to run in and win the upcoming BPSU election. Pinder says his team recognizes the critical stage of the union, and the goal is to move the union out of that stage.
Members have been calling on us to come forward to assist with bringing some level of balance to what is happening.
The team is looking to unseat current President Kingsley Ferguson. Pinder, who served as acting Labour director, revealed some of his plans. They include opening an agency shop to get dues up to date.
The union is indeed in financial stress. With agency shop, we believe we can get out of this financial stress. Agency shop speaks to those non-members that are not paying union dues to pay 90% of the dues at the agency shop. That we believe will take the union out of the financial position it finds itself in at this time.
Pinder says his team also wants to promote digitization training for all public servants. The COVID-19 pandemic forced many public servants to have to work from home. Pinder says his team wants to reintroduce the process.
We believe that we should go back to some remote work. It was working during the pandemic. It caused there to be less traffic on the street. There was less congestion. People were coming to work less frustrated, less stressed because they had to fight through the traffic, and that sort of thing. We believe they were even more productive working from home. We believe if we can get more of our civil servants and members working from home, it'll give them more family time. They're able to take care of the kids.
The team also wants to assist in improving health care for its members. They're also looking to constitute a promotional task force. He says the union should work with the government to put a task force in place. Then there's the potential introduction of an open salary scale.
Oftentimes, civil servants are meeting the criteria to be promoted, but there's no position available. And sometimes they have to wait 3-4 years before there's a promotional exercise. But we believe that they should not be made to punish simply because there's no exercise going on. They should still be able to retain their increment if they're receiving above average performance or whatever the criteria is.
Chief Justice Sir Ian Winder admitting that while there is a process for granting citizenship, he doesn't think it should take years and in some instances decades. Winder is referring to granting citizenship to individuals born in the Bahamas to foreign parents. His comments come after Immigration Minister Keith Bell said government won't rush the process, citing there has been instances of fraud. Last month, Winder warned that delaying approvals for those born here is a recipe for social discontent.
I accept the minister's position that there are processes, and they have to be clear, and that the persons who were granted these status, they have to be certain. But that process doesn't have to take years, doesn't have to take decades. In most cases, if it's and I was speaking in particular in respect of persons born in the Bahamas to non-Bahamian parents. The documents being referred to are obviously Bahamian documents.
The issue has been a source of contention for many who are born in the Bahamas to non-Bahamian parents and have to apply for citizenship once they turn 18. Winder says he accepts there are some who sometimes forge documents.
I, in particular, did a case where a foreign national did. I found that he had forged documents, but that is the system we're in. They have to be proved, they have to be checked, but we have to be diligent in doing it, and it has to be done within a reasonable time. These are persons' lives we're talking about.
Just after the break, VP of Communications here at Cable Bahamas talks about Rev Media's expansion. That story is on the way, and our Megan Shepherd has the details on Carib Care Health Services in our Generation Next segment. All of that and more when our News Weekend returns. Weekend. Welcome back. Over the past year, Cable Bahamas' Rev Media department has expanded in size and has enhanced the product that is offered to the public. Recently, our Italia Hall sat down with the Vice President of Media at Cable Bahamas, where he spoke to the latest developments and what's to come in the future.
I was asked to come into the department in 2019 to see what is it that we can do with media, because media was not really the forefront. It was really on a side project on the desk, if you will. And a lot has happened in the last 3 years, from Hurricane Dorian to the pandemic.
That's the Vice President of Media at Cable Bahamas, David Burrows, sharing some of the accomplishments by the Rev Media Department over the past year.
Whether it was putting up the Ministry of Education's channel during the pandemic in 10 days across the entire country, things like that we have been doing and getting involved in. But to me, one of the most exciting of all is news and the way that we've been able to evolve the news product and bringing on news reporters that are working within the organization itself.
Now, in October 2022, the department expanded yet again as RTV launched a website, ournews.bs, where people can find up-to-date news and information.
Which was built entirely in-house, expanding to build 7 o'clock news, expanding to an hour of live news a night, and then moving into Junkanoo, moving into Carifta, moving into Nakak. And these are things that we're approached about because of the quality that we provide to the community. It's often said that people come to our news to see if the information is right.
And the VP says he's excited by the news product and how it has amassed the largest audience in the country.
And leveraging the product across multiple platforms, like on the Go242 would be another example about that. Pushing some of those news stories throughout the day on Go242 is another direction that I would like to take with it, so that people continuously see our news. We have the largest presence in social media, as another example, and a massive presence already on ournews.bs with over 130,000 unique visits every single month.
And the team may be small in size, but Burrows says the people within the department are dedicated and talented.
It starts with the people. All right, and we were lucky enough to be able to commission this studio in 2016. I was very happy to be a part of this transition, and I love this studio and the work that we've been able to do with it, and the expansion that it's brought, and the technology, the feel that it brings to the community.
And as for what's next?
What's next is leveraging news more than we're leveraging it. Expanding it more, making it more part of a presence throughout the day, making sure that people understand that we're the go-to. This is where you're going to get your information. It's going to be accurate, it's going to be honest, it's going to be true.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Natalia Hall.
Thanks, Natalia, and we are looking forward to more developments here at Our News. And now we turn to our Generation Next feature, where a recreational therapist is looking to make her mark in the Grand Bahama community while raising more awareness about two vulnerable sectors of the community. Megan Shepard has the story.
28-year-old Alexis Smith-Roberts jokes that most of her friends are over the age of 50, but these friendships, she says, stems from her passion for helping the precious pearls of the nation.
I went out to college. I thought that it would be a good idea to bring something home that's not here, something that's not specific to our older adults, something that's not very specific to persons with disabilities. So I was trying to figure out which profession I can go into. You can go be a doctor and a teacher, but that's not so specific to helping the needs of older adults or persons with disabilities. So when I discovered what a recreational therapist is or was, I thought it fit me and my personality. So here I am as a recreational therapist today.
Smith-Roberts founded Caribcare Health Services in 2019 and has been working to improve the lives of senior citizens and those living with disabilities ever since. She says with recreational therapy, anyone can enjoy a quality of life.
Is the use of recreation to assist with a disability, and those disabilities can be anywhere between physical rehabilitation, cognitive, social, emotional, mental. It can be all those different things. And some of the groups that we work with, and it's also not limited to, but it's Alzheimer's and dementia, geriatric patients, stroke patients, kids and adolescents with disabilities or developmental disabilities, persons on the spectrum.
While the benefits of recreational therapy are vast, she says she believes that the profession is still not valued and understood as it should be. She admits that the journey has had its share of challenges.
Honestly, it's rough. So I'm glad we're doing stuff like this just to bring education, and let people know that there is a profession like this in Grand Bahama. And one of our end goals is to help end the stigma towards these communities. It starts with helping those, treating the way we treat our loved ones or, people in the community with disabilities or older adults. It starts by not parking in the disabled parking lots. It starts by opening up the doors and keeping the doors open for those you may see who have a disability. So it literally starts here.
And as she continues to create new lanes with Carib Care Health Services, here's her advice to other aspiring entrepreneurs.
Moving back home, and a lot of people didn't know what recreational therapy was. It was difficult getting this business started. And a lot of times, I thought that it didn't make sense or, it wasn't worth it. So I would just tell them not to give up. If you have to break some doors down and, create new doors, go ahead and do so.
Reporting for Our News Weekend Edition, I'm Megan Shepard.
Thanks, Megan. And wherever you go, no matter what the weather, always bring your own sunshine. The weather report is up next. And Let Me Be Me, a film sharing a new way of working with children on the autism spectrum. Check out our arts and entertainment segment with Our News Weekend returns. Stay close. To Our News Weekend. Rain was definitely in the forecast today. Let's see what we have to look forward to weather-wise over the next few days. Last week, the Island House Film Festival screened the documentary film Let Me Be Me, sharing a new way of working with children on the autism spectrum. And our Marlena Leonard has more of the story, speaking with the subject of the film, Kyle Westfall.
Westfall is the subject of the documentary film titled Let Me Be Me, screened during the Island House Film Festival, documenting the story of his and his family's journey and their efforts to connect with Westfall after being diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum. While historically many programs are aggressive and potentially traumatizing in trying to drill things like eye contact and focus into participants, the Westfall family chose to try the Sunrise program's home-based approach.
As you're a kid, as you're growing up, you're sort of, I think everyone in a way can relate to this, is you're kind of figuring out what the world is. And I think I didn't necessarily know that it was autism per se, but I knew that I had a different language of communicating with other people. And so I think really what I see as a film in terms of I sort of had my own language, and the people around me had to sort of figure out how to connect to it. I felt that really stayed true to who I was and my experience.
Now Westfall considers himself fully emerged. The film highlights his childhood tendency to isolate, wrapped in blankets, and his love for fabric has led him to fashion design. But he says his love for fashion is deeper than the aesthetics.
I went to hiding under blankets, to dressing up in blankets, to now dressing other people in clothing. For me, wanting to make someone feel special, it goes back to Cinderella, it goes back to the fairy godmother, it goes back to, the first time I saw Cinderella, and I realized I was like, okay, I'm not so great with words, but if I can make someone feel special, if I can make someone feel great after a hard day, after a hard week, or after something, tough that they went through in their life, or to celebrate on the opposite side as well.
He tells us that one of the most fulfilling parts of participating in the film has been the Q&A segments at screenings.
Really, what's amazing is the reactions that we got from people who identify on the spectrum, and really, we've gotten some amazing just energy and just really relating to that experience that I had in the film. And it's been a really cool kind of parasocial bond in a way, and social bond that is just fantastic.
While Westfall is quick to add that his story and journey is just one, and that every person on the spectrum will be different, he has this advice for parents of children on the autism spectrum.
What's important, I think, is being an advocate, being the best advocate for your family, and being the best advocate that you can be, and raising goodwill and wanting to be there for your family. I think it's important. I think doing that in a really positive way, I think, is like the best thing you can do. And, like I said before, I was really lucky to have some amazing guardian angels and people around me who were really putting their best foot forward in terms of advocacy for me, and it truly made all the difference. And that I actually learned to advocate for myself through that, and so that's been incredible.
The Sunrise program is now available online, and Let Me Be Me can be seen on Amazon Prime. Reporting for Our News Weekend Edition, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thanks for that story, Marlena, and thank you for joining us for Our News Weekends. On behalf of the entire technical team, I'm Berthany McDermott. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone.